Today, on the 22nd episode of the DTFprinting podcast, we're talking about the benefits of being a one-stop shop, why you should have a dedicated sales team, and how to build community over competition. Welcome to the DTFprinting podcast. I'm Adrienne Palmer, editor-in-chief of DTFprinting. Before we get into this episode, I would love to get your feedback. You can always email me at adrienne@dtfprinting.com for topic ideas and speaker suggestions. And don't forget to like, review, and subscribe. If this is your first time listening, be sure to check out all episodes at dtfprinting.com/podcast. On today's episode, I'm talking to Christy Shellenberger, VP of Sales and Marketing at Rock Hill Screen Printing in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Hey, Christy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Great. Thank you for joining the DTFprinting podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, let's get started. Kind of bring it back to the beginning. What brought you into this awesome world of apparel decoration?
I kind of just fell face forward into it. I was at CrossFit one day and I was a stay-at-home mom. I used to be in banking. And I took some time off when I had my kids. And at CrossFit, people say highly inappropriate things and everyone thinks it's a great idea to put them on t-shirts. So one day I was like, well, how hard could it be to make a t-shirt? Famous last words. And I did the YouTube deep dive into screen printing. And that night I bought a speedball kit on Amazon and was so excited to get it. Bought some cheap shirts from the clearance rack at Target. And then I documented my whole process of making these shirts on Instagram. And people offered to buy them that night. And so I got super excited about it and then went to Target the next day and bought some more shirts with that money and kept selling them that way. And so I completely grew this business, $300 in a speedball kit. And just like every time I had enough money, would buy new equipment, better ink, a press, a dryer. You know, at the beginning, I was drying shirts in my oven of my house. And just kind of kept going and kept growing from there. About 6 months later, I took a screen printing 101 class at Tech Source in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. And then kind of started the business as a real business from that point. Started buying shirts from a distributor, selling online. We used to travel around to local CrossFit competitions around the Southeast. And we were doing our own apparel at that point. And then as that grew, people started asking us to do their apparel too. So probably about a year in, we got a location, moved into that, and then really ramped up production into other gyms and businesses, people that went to CrossFit but needed apparel for their businesses.
Did you already have a little bit of a following on your social media account, or were those just kind of friends and family or even other people at the CrossFit gym who saw the process, may not have ever seen what a screen printing process looks like in terms of apparel decoration and that whole process? I mean, what was that reaction?
Yeah.
Had you ever done anything like that before?
No. I mean, I had an Instagram, I thought of the name Snatch and Run because of CrossFit, you know, snatching a barbell and then running. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cheeky. I like it. It's funny. And people just started following my account from that. And then like my excitement of creating something and selling the shirts. And then we would like do post about working out and then going and making shirts and like bringing kids around and having the kids help make shirts too. So it kind of just grew from there. Like we didn't do any paid advertising. We didn't go out and try to get business by any means. It was just people being interested in what we were doing.
And was your niche gym wear for a long period of time, or did you kind of branch out eventually?
Yeah, I have sold more next level 6010s than I could count in my life. And so for years, it was just next level 6010s and tank tops. And then from there, kind of branched out into, now you need work shorts or construction shirts or anything like that. So it was a couple years before I would say like I really branched off and learned about more apparel besides just what works at a gym.
Right. Okay. And so you had Snatch and Run for how many years?
9 years.
9 years.
9
okay.
years. I tried to change the name several times as I stopped doing gym wear, but nothing else really caught on. It's kind of funny because I was selling to big corporations in Charlotte and stuff, and everyone's writing a check to Snatch and Run. And the accounting department would call and they were like, we didn't know if this was fraud or whatever. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's just funny. And maybe you don't get it, but you never forget it. So the name just kind of stuck.
So you had Snatch and Run for 9 years, but last September, you then joined forces with Rockhill. Screen printing.
So last year, when was the first year? 2 years ago, I got on the Gildan Board of Decorators, and my business kind of really took off from that point. I also started investing more in my business. So being a small business, we had 1,000 square foot space, 2 employees. We were really just handling we had more work than I could handle. So I was really contracting out a lot of screen printing, but then also I couldn't even handle all the sales myself because of how fast we were growing. So I needed to get a new shop because 1,000 square feet is not sustainable. And I probably stayed there way too long because the rent was so cheap there. And so it was less pressure on me to perform. So I started looking at new spaces, and one day I was like, okay, I found a space. I'm going to make the jump to a bigger space. So my friend Jeremy and Jill, they own Rockhill Screen Printing. I called them and I said, hey, will you guys come look at this new space and just let me know what you think before I sign this lease? And Jill looked at me and she goes, Christy, don't you hate screen printing t-shirts? And I was like, I despise it. I cannot stand printing another t-shirt. And she goes, well, Jeremy really likes it. And Jeremy hates selling t-shirts. And I was like, I'll sell t-shirts till I'm blue in the face. I love it. I get that high from selling a t-shirt, but then I don't want to touch the production of it. So they're like, well, what if we join businesses together? And I go, you know what? If I do it with anybody, I would do it with you guys because you're good people. So I said, let's meet for dinner tomorrow with my husband. And I'll discuss it. And the next day, Jeremy called me and he goes, Christy, I need to tell you something. And I was like, okay. The other big local shop in the area, the owner took his life, unfortunately, and left 18 people out of work. And he goes, Christy, all these people haven't gotten paid in weeks and they need a job. And I can't take all of them if you don't want to come aboard too. And I go, okay, let's roll. So I locked the door to my shop. We all moved into Jeremy's shop. We hired all these people, and that's what we've been doing ever since. And now we're just under Rockhill Screen Printing, and it's really become 3 businesses in one in the last year. So we currently have 18 employees. I run sales and marketing. Jeremy runs production, and Jill is the other owner, Jeremy's wife. She runs HR and finance. And we're really just growing very quickly and aggressively. And sometimes it's very scary, but it's really fun too, each being able to do what we're good at.
Yeah, I was going to say that is so key, finding a business partner that has interest other than yours and skills other than yours. It's so funny that it's like, I don't want to touch a screen. I don't want to touch a shirt. I'll
I do
sell.
not
and
like
he's
my
like, I would
hands
love
being
it.
dirty at all.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Wow. I mean, what a story. And then for all of that to kind of just, snowball so quickly. But now, 18 employees and everyone's doing what they're good at and what they like. Everyone's kind of finding what works for them. So yeah, that's awesome. How are things going right now?
Yeah, they're going great. We are killing it sales wise. We're killing it on production. We just moved into a new facility in April, 12,000 square feet. And we're growing every day. Just when you think maybe we're at the top and we're going to do a little bit of comfortable growth for a little bit, it's like, oh no, now we're at the new shop and we have insane road traffic and we're doubling every month. And it's like, well, now what do? We got to clean more screens. We've got to, have more employees to print these shirts. And it's it's still very uncomfortable if I'm being completely honest. Like the growth just doesn't stop and it's hard to feel like you're coming up for air, but this is what we all want too.
Yeah. I mean, it is very much true that a lot of people grow too fast. Mm-hmm. And so you think of that as something that's great. It's like, wow, we're growing. That's not a problem. But then when you really get into it and you're trying to figure out everything on the business side and making sure that things aren't rapid fire enough, that you're not getting quality work done, you're not hitting deadlines, there's too much to handle, where are you right now with all of that in terms of maybe finding that sweet spot?
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. For sure. Like, we can't clean our screens fast enough. So then the next day we're buying more screens. Well, then even if we have more screens, who's cleaning those screens and where are we putting them to dry? Because now we need, 100 screens a day. It's crazy. Like all these problems that come up and then like, okay, now you need to order this much ink, but then the ink's gone before you know it. So then we have to do like, order cards to make sure things are getting ordered in an appropriate amount of time. And then our art department, we use Graphic Source. But do we need to add another person there? And on top of our in-house art, like as the sales go up, all these other parts of the process start to break too. So I would say like every day is like putting out fires right now. I don't know if that's ever going to stop though.
Right. Yeah. Running a business, there are a lot of different factors. Every day is different. But it's kind of interesting that you mentioned, you don't like getting your hands dirty. You don't want to burn all these screens. You don't want to clean all these screens. So here on the DTF Printing podcast, I have to ask you about your DTF Printing section of the business, which I know right now you are outsourcing the printing of the transfers and then you're heat pressing in-house. So kind of what does that look like for you guys right now? And what was your decision into just outsourcing for now? And if there's any consideration for bringing that in-house later down the road?
Yeah. So for me, if I'm completely honest, like I didn't adopt DTF very quickly because I like the idea of screen printing. I love the way it feels on a t-shirt. I love, the trade of it, the craft in it, all of that. Even though I don't like to do it, I like the idea of it. So I didn't really go into this very quickly. And then a couple of years ago, I was on a trip with the Guild and Board of Decorators and Stephen at Campus Ink. He was talking about how he uses direct to film. And he was like, how can we think about it in a different way? Like, how can we think about it as like a way to serve our customers better? Instead of like saying, I'm not going to do anything with high color counts under 24 or 48 pieces. Like, why can't you if you use it and sell it in this new decoration method? So it actually makes your business money too. And you're, fulfilling a customer need. And I was like, that's a really interesting thought. And like, if we're not doing that and we're not offering it, we're not providing good customer service. So that switch in my mind of like, okay, let's use this as a tool and then learn about it, learn how we can integrate it, learn how we can sell it and feel good about selling it. And then since then, like the technology, the feel of it, the quality, it's just amazing. So I love selling it now, whereas before I didn't really want to.
Your minimum order quantity has to be so different now for customers. So have your customers changed, or have your customers been really grateful that now they can ask for 10 shirts versus maybe 40 or 50?
Yeah, I would say we're able to keep more customers because what you want to do is you want to serve all of your customers' needs. You don't want to just be their screen printer. You want to be their small order person. You want to be their banner printer. You want to be their promo printer. You want to take care of all of it. So there's no need for them to go look somewhere else for someone to accommodate their needs. So I would say our customer retention is way up because of direct to film.
Are they noticing a difference, especially, you're tried and true screen printing customers now that you've offered DTF? Was that a conversation that you had with them? And can they tell a difference, or are they just happy like, oh, I got my 10 shirts. I didn't have to go elsewhere for my 100 shirts and my 10 shirts.
So I think there's a difference in certain direct-to-films too. Like we use a very high quality one. We started with Supercolor, and now we have a local guy that does ours, but the quality is really good. We're also working on our artwork. I picked up some tips from the guy at King Screen on how to do better artwork, create more open space in our design so it feels better on the shirt. And then I also have our sales team take everyone through a tour of the shop, and we explain each section and each decoration method within the shop. We go through embroidery, we go through direct to film, we go through screen printing, and then we show them examples of everything that we're doing here. And then I also, when we go to the direct to film area, they show an example of a very high color count on a shirt, and they say, feel it. This holds up at least 50 washes, longer than your garment's probably going to hold up, honestly. And then customers can feel it, and then they can see the vibrancy of the print. They can see there's nothing to be afraid of there anymore, you know? And nobody really says anything once we educate them and do the tour that way. And then my sales team is really good about explaining, like, here's where this piece fits in your apparel needs. Here's where screen printing fits in your apparel needs. All of them are valid, but they all serve different purposes for us.
I think that's incredible that you're walking customers through the process. They're seeing behind the scenes of your shop. Are you doing that with every customer or just kind of VIP?
Everyone that has time. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a kegerator, we have snacks, you know, and we take everybody on a tour. We introduce everyone to every single employee. I'm very big on like people buy from people, not just a shop. So if someone's going to leave our shop, they're going to be leaving all of us and they're going to feel bad about it.
That's hilarious. No, I think that's so important and for people to really understand. And that's a lot about community. And I love that, you know, buying from people. And so in your role with VP of sales and marketing, you mentioned you have a full sales team. I guess kind of dig into what your role is, what that looks like, and kind of the importance of really digging into marketing and sales. And I know that's a lot of questions, so we can talk about sales first.
Yeah. So when I came over to Rock Hill Screen Printing, the whole goal of that was to get everybody doing what they love to do. We're all owners of the business, but like, let's own our individual sections and then lean on each other when we need to. Like everyone here can sell a t-shirt. It doesn't mean that Jeremy and Jill are good at it. Just like I'm not that great at pulling a squeegee, you know, like I shouldn't be doing it. You don't want that t-shirt. You want the t-shirt that I sell you and Jeremy's team produces. So, when you're growing a sales team like this, or you're growing your business, you really need to have trust in your other departments and their expertise, and then just kind of let it be. So that was a little uncomfortable at first for me, like running and managing and producing shirts before it's Snatch and Run. But let me tell you, like once I leaned into it and really just did what I loved every day, it's been a lot better. And like, I'm happier. I sell more because I'm happier, because if your salespeople aren't happy, they're not going to be selling. Just quick tip for everybody. So I can just focus on my girls and keeping them happy, keeping them trained, producing an environment here. Like we have a very curated showroom. Like I said before, like we have snacks, we have a sofa, we have a TV, like come in, hang out, you know, like experience the Rock Hill vibe. So, me doing what I'm good at, I'm able to create more things like that instead of just being like, oh, did the shirts come in from the distributor today? Oh, something's missing. Oh, something got printed wrong. That's not my jam anymore.
Yeah. And for the sales side, I mean, it seemed like in the beginning, at least at Snatch and Run, you really were focusing on word of mouth and the community that you had built in, you know, the gym arena.
Yeah.
Now that you have a full dedicated sales team, what does that process look like? You know, because so many apparel decorators are like, I don't have a sales team. I don't have a salesperson. It's just word of mouth. And my product, you know, kind of speaks for that. And then people start talking. But with having a dedicated sales team, what does that look like now? I
don't think that there's anything wrong with that's how it's starting. But there comes a point in your business where you have to do more than that. So when I came over, that's where we were at here. We weren't doing any outbound. We weren't doing any cross-selling, upselling, any of that. So the low-hanging fruit there is first hire another salesperson under you and just get them trained how you want them trained. And then you let them take your current base of customers and call on them. Who hasn't ordered from you in 4 months? Call those customers, check in, introduce yourself, ask them to come by the shop for their tour or come by for a t-shirt or just order some promo products and give them to them, you know? We always have free shirts out on our shop. Like we're about to do a 4th of July shirt with dogs and everything like that. And last month it was like an iridescent shirt, like just cool things that people would want to take and talk about. But the low-hanging fruit is people that haven't ordered in a while. And then also, let's work on cross-selling first. If you have all these people coming into your shop and you don't think you need to get any more customers, are you fully selling all the products you could to them? Like for us, we had a banner printer that never ran. But people didn't know we offered banners here. You know, so now the girls, every time a business comes in, they say, okay, you got your t-shirts, but what about a banner? Do you need a banner out front? We can do them at house. They're done in 2 days. And then we show them examples of them. But that's also on the tour that people get to see that we're doing banners too in house. Or some people didn't even know we did embroidery, which is crazy, you know, but now on the tour, they see the embroidery too. So you're fully fulfilling your customers' needs by doing the tour, asking questions, and not being afraid to say, what else can I help you with? Do you need some stickers? Do you need a banner? Do you need hats? Do you need this? Most people aren't just, they're going to come for shirts, but forget that they need all those other things too.
Yeah, being that one-stop shop for your customer is so ideal. And also, once they see things, that kind of gets their gears turning as well.
Turning.
It's like, oh, do I need a hat? Do I need a banner?
Of course you do. You know, like we all do. We all need more stickers in our life.
Right.
So like we have a sticker wall with free stickers and all that kind of stuff. People can come in and do all that. So we try to keep it fresh with all that product. So people are like, okay, I want that too. I want this for my business. So that's the first step is like, just start with what you have. Then you can start to create your MailChimp or your constant contact email and like, okay, let's just show people we do patch hats this week. You'll get orders if you just send an email saying, hey, look at these patch hats somebody did. You know, like there's so much low hanging fruit that people don't do. I don't get it. So
yeah, that really digs into the marketing aspect. And so you're sending some emails, sharing maybe what's trending in terms of blank apparel or different promo products that you might think are, you know, working for the season. You mentioned, you know, you have free 4th of July. What else are you doing in terms of marketing to current and potentially new customers?
Yeah. So when we opened in the new shop, we did a big grand reopening party. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but we had a band, we had beer, we had a rum distributor, we had free shirts, we had live printing, we had a bunch of, industry people here. We had almost 200 customers here that showed up. You know, like I did like this big, massive email with like sparkles and it had automation in it and stuff. And people showed up and like food truck, dancing. Oh, we had music. So we just made it fun. And the sales that have come from that one event have been insane because it just got people re-talking about it, re-jazzed. And they're like, they remembered when Jeremy or I were in our houses doing this. And now we have this giant production facility that we have all these employees and we're having fun and we love t-shirts, you know, and they can see that. People see when you're happy about what you do. So that's a big one for us. The other thing we've been doing recently is we've been taking a mobile hat bar places. So We use direct to film for that, and we use patches, but we have a full setup that's got really cute branding to it, but people can customize their hat on little templates on the table. And then we just use heat transfer tape and we do the hat pressing right there on site.
Oh, that's cool. What kind of events are you doing that for?
Just like at breweries and we're going to take it to a bunch of elementary schools for like back to school. Just fun things to get people talking to you. You don't even have to like make a ton of money doing the event. It's just a way to get you out there where you're not just like shoving shirts down people's throat,
right? I mean, that's a form of marketing and that's a form of sales, live printing and getting out into your community and showing everyone who you are. I love that you keep mentioning the word fun. Yeah. Like, this should be fun. And you were having fun doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And we see you having fun. You're the host of the Last Call for Flask to Solve podcast with your business partner, Jeremy. And I think that's just another form of the fun that you're having, but also the community and the education aspect. I mean, you guys call yourselves lifelong learners. And I really love that because in this industry, technology is always changing. Trends are changing. Your customers, their needs and wants can change. So I love that your focus on education is so important. And and you can share a little bit about the podcast and how you guys came up with that and how it's going so far.
Yeah. So Jeremy and I, before we merged shops, we were just friends, like print homies. That's what we call each other. He ran out of ink. I couldn't fit shirts into my production schedule. He would help me. Jill taught me how to embroider, all those sorts of things. Like our shop was 15 minutes away from each other, but we never saw each other as competition. Because if you look around, everyone is wearing t-shirts. There are plenty of t-shirts to be sold to everybody. You don't need to steal from your buddy down the street. There are too many other industries that are doing that. So we just really believed that other people could live this way too. And when he had an open house with Anatol, and people were like, I've never seen two people like just be good businesses right down the road from each other and like both be living their best lives. And we're like, this isn't hard. Y'all can do it too. So that's how the podcast started, is we just kind of wanted to tell people like sharing is caring and there's plenty to go around. And then we got to meet some really cool people along the way, and share what other people know too for everybody. So it's been a lot of fun. We are on a pause this summer for the podcast just because things here are insane, but we hope to pick it up back in the fall as well.
Yeah, I hope you do too. It's fun to watch that. And I think that you're hitting on such great points. There's enough work for everyone, especially if you are cultivating, your niche, your customer base, the community there, that you can work together with someone who really might be considered competition. And I know that kind of can vary and range, especially, if you're in a really small area, it may not make sense to be that close with your competitor, but I love it. It's almost like, going for sugar or milk, to your next door neighbor. I ran out of ink, or you ran out of this. It's so nice to be able to have that. And now look, you have a business together.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And that's how that started. Like we knew like from the podcast that we really enjoyed working together. And so it kind of was a no-brainer once we got to this point of let's join up and just have one mega business. So we're having a lot of fun. And I think more people should do this. Like, don't go about things the hard way. Don't live in fear. Live in abundance mindset. Like, there's plenty, and like the road is much better without struggling, being fearful.
Right. And you touched on this a little bit. You are on the board of decorators and a Gildan influencer, which is so cool. And obviously that really cultivated your love, even more so, of apparel decoration. how did you get involved in that? And what has your experience been like for you?
Yeah. So I got an email in my inbox one day and it was like, apply to be, I don't know if it was from Screen Printing Magazine or from where, but it was just a random email. Apply to be on the Gildan Board of Decorators. And I was just, at that point in my life, I had just gotten divorced and I just wanted some new things. I was like, I really want to travel for work. Well, how do you do that when you're a screen printer? You know, like it's not the easiest path to figure that out, but I just kind of like put it out into the universe. I know it sounds really hippie, but I call myself a failed hippie.
You're manifesting.
So I put it out there and then I saw that email and I applied for it and they called me and we did an interview and I was like, oh, they're not going to want me because I wasn't a huge shop or anything back then. And they were like, no, we just love who you are. And we love that you're like making it in the screen printing industry. You hire moms and you just lean into the community that way. And it's been such an amazing opportunity to serve as this focus group for Gildan. And we've gotten to travel the world. We went to Honduras and saw how shirts were made and met everybody there. We also got to learn more about sustainability within the industry, which I'm super passionate about now. But I don't think I would have been if Gildan wouldn't have taken a chance on me and like showed me these things that are happening and like what all these manufacturers are doing to like move towards zero waste and really clean up the decorated apparel industry. So, and I've got to meet some really cool people like Steven from Campus Inc., Dylan at Upstate, the crew at P&M Apparel, like countless other people. It's really been a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And it's so fascinating, the different areas of this industry. And, you know, you had joked earlier, like, oh, screen printing, like t-shirt, not hard, you know, famous last words. Or people always say, you know, like, oh, it's just t-shirt. Like, it's not at all. And I think that's why we love this industry so much, is because there's so many different facets. And for you to be able to go and see, you know, and I've done the same in different facilities, and it's really changed my perspective of how even just the piece of apparel is created. You know, that blank t-shirt, where does that come from? And then on the sustainability side, you know, what are we doing to get to zero waste? I mean, just it's wild when you really look at the numbers of water and waste there. And so for you to be able to see that and maybe change your mindset, that's so cool.
It changed my mindset, and then also better educate my customers of like things that we can be doing along the way to make a better impact. You know, Charlotte is very sustainability minded city. So being able to have intelligent conversations about that and like what each manufacturer is doing and like what they can really feel good about putting on their bodies. It's just amazing.
Right. Yeah. I was at I think Impressions Long Beach, like a few years ago, and there was a speaker talking about sustainability. And one of the things she said was like, at the end of the day, you are the printer is the last person to touch that shirt. Mm-hmm. And so whatever happened before then, like you're still the last person to touch that. And you should know the process. You should know what has happened to that shirt before you got there. Because at the end of the day, you're the one giving that to your customer. And they, especially now, have so many questions. And so educating yourself on the background, I think, is not something that is really in the forefront of our minds.
Yeah. And I think it should be. It should be. And it's actually like, if you're going to be a good salesperson, it's part of your responsibility, you know? So I'm glad to see all these manufacturers, whether it's ink, chemicals, or shirts, they're pushing more of this information out for people. And it's really all there for you to gather on your own, ask questions at trade shows, talk to people, come talk to me, write me an email. I'll connect you with anybody I know that can help you. But there's some really great things happening in this industry.
And another one of your accomplishments, and actually how we met, is you are a Women in Screen Printing award winner from Screen Printing Magazine.
How cool is that?
It's so cool.
I mean, have my trophy over there. I like show it to everybody.
Yeah, so well deserved. Of course, my time at Screen Printing Magazine had ended by the time that the awards came out last year, but I was still able to recognize all the winners, yourself included, and that was so fun to do and really great, to meet you and understand your background. So obviously you're very thrilled and very excited for that award. How has that kind of changed, your outlook on yourself maybe, and even just, other females in the industry?
Well, it's so funny because some of my friends in screen printing will talk about this. Like when I take my kids somewhere and there's like a PTA meeting or whatever, they're like, what do you do for a living? And people go around the room and they're like, I'm an attorney, I'm a doctor. And you're like, I'm a screen printer. Like it has this connotation of, maybe not the most glamorous job, but like it kind of, for me, validated everything I'm doing. Like I can say like, I run a multi-million-dollar business and I have 18 employees, but like people from the outside may not see it like that. But then also getting this award, it's like, and I'm one of the best at my job, and I don't really care what you think anymore. So for me, it was just like a gold star and I love it. I love the whole idea behind the award. There's so many great people in this industry, male and female. But being able to recognize a few females every year for what they're doing in the industry, it's just amazing. And I really look forward to the award show this year at Printing United. So
yes, I do too. Yeah, I mean, obviously I have a background there and have been recognizing women in the industry. I think it was my 8th year doing that for the wide format side and then moving into screen printing. And so many different women had a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And, or they felt as though maybe apparel decoration or even wide format printing was, okay. But it's like, then you get this validation. And then you also see other women, even if, you're not a winner yourself, you're seeing other women getting recognized for what they're doing. And there's some motivation there too. Mm-hmm. But I love, like the validation there. It's like, you're running businesses.
They really cool
people.
Businesses. Yeah. So I think it's great. And like I said, my trophies, like I have this little like drive-through window in my office going into the showroom. I like put her there. So like anybody that walks in, I'm like, look at this.
Exactly.
So, it's pretty cool. Thank you for doing that.
Oh my gosh, of course. It's like the biggest honor that I've had, in this industry is to be able to recognize female leaders in the space, because I think, and historically there just hasn't been a lot of recognition in terms of speakers on stages and kind of, the industry veterans or, people who are brought to the forefront. And so now it's like, well, we've got X amount of years of, reminders with these awards. And now I feel as though it's really created a community and just an understanding that there are a lot of women in this industry, which when I started, I didn't feel as though that was the case. And now I couldn't think anything more different. So I've loved being able to be part of that group, and then also being able to recognize women and hopefully push other females into the space. And I think even in the DTF printing world, it's still a male dominated industry, as most industries are, but I think that there are a lot of more women getting into this space. And even if that is, outsourcing transfers and heat pressing. And I think the big connection there, especially with like local schools and local sports teams, and on your website, you offer online stores. And I'm assuming that DTF has made a big change there for you too, instead of having to say, well, we're just screen printing and we can only, accommodate 30 plus, for example.
I wouldn't say that it's made a huge change in the online stores. Online stores, we kind of try to keep those pretty standardized for screen printing, just because there's like, by the time people order and then like get everything produced and ordered in, like we need as few options as possible to get that done quickly. But, we're constantly exploring like, what else can we offer? What else can we optimize production wise to get things done quickly and efficiently? And so I can I can see it coming. I can see like the change in all this. And especially as we probably bring direct to film in-house, that is going to be more relevant, and we're going to be using it on more of a hourly basis versus a daily basis. You know, I was listening to Mark Coudray on the Print Hustlers podcast, this past one, and he was talking about how direct to film is just like changing the industry so much, and screen printing might be irrelevant in 10 years. One, as somebody investing in screen printing equipment, it's scary, but we need to be aware of it, and we need to like take note of it and say, okay, this may be changing, but this is also changing too. So like, how can we invest in our businesses and like really think differently about the products that we're producing, and how can we use direct to film to do this? You know?
Yeah, I know. I was kind of shocked to hear Mark say that, because just from my history with him and my, relationship, it's like, very much screen printing is the way to go, because there is the passion and the skill and the background there, the experience. And so when he said that, I was like, oh, wow, that's like the industry vet, vet telling, apparel decorators that screen printing is going to be gone in 10 years. I don't know if I really like subscribe to that notion, but I think the overall message there is that you do need to consider the fact that there is a new technology that is making it much easier for a lot of different people. And if you don't recognize that, then it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you're going to be behind the 8 ball for sure on that. And, you think about, as we explore adding another press, like, do we want to do that, or do we want to bring direct to film in-house? Like, that's something that needs to be highly weighed right now as the market's changing. So scary.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's it. It's something to consider for sure. And it's funny, you'd mentioned we do screen printing more for these online stores because we want to have, less options for our customers. I was just speaking to someone the other day where it's like, we can have all the options in the world. And then I talked to another person. They're like, no, we keep it to about 8 different options. It's just so interesting to hear, what works for everyone. But that kind of goes back to like, your competition down the street. You might have different customers. You're going to have different options. Like, there's so many ways to go about this. And that online store is just an example of like whatever works for you and your customers. Like,
and they may also just have employees that are really good and really organized about distributing orders for online stores. That's not us. So I have to I have to sell what my team is good at. So, well, that's again, like leaning into skills, understanding, what you're good at. And that, brings us back to the beginning of the conversation of, where you are today. And you're not having to do the things that you're not good at. And you're also relying on people to do the things that that you hired them for, that like, you got this. That's like pretty big in trust. Like, I trust that you're going to get this done so I can focus on what I need to get done. Yeah, for sure.
I was going to call it back a little bit to what you had said about hiring moms. Is that something that you're still leaning into?
Yeah, not as much as I was before at Snatch and Run, but we do still hire moms. I'm very passionate about that because a lot of people that are stay-at-home moms don't have the opportunity to come back into the workforce once their kids go, like maybe into elementary school or middle school, if they've waited that long to come back into the workforce. And these are like highly skilled employees that have just taken a break from the workforce, but deserve a chance to come back and like really make an impact in your business. I, for one, think screen printing is the perfect spot for most of these people because moms are highly organized. They're efficient. They can handle a lot of stress without freaking out. So like for our industry, like you've got these prime candidates to do a really good job in your shop, and they may just need a little more flexibility. Maybe they need to get off a little bit earlier to pick their kids up from school, or maybe they need a teacher work day off. But like most moms that I've encountered are very good schedulers and will let you know those things ahead of time. So if you have a space for them in your shop, you may be getting a rock star employee for someone that is willing to take less money because they want that flexibility in their lives to still be involved in their kids' lives. So I'm very pro that. And if anybody wants to talk to me about that and how they can integrate more moms into their shop, like maybe a shipping and receiving job or embroidery or direct to film is a great position for a mom. I'd be happy to talk about that.
Why do you say that direct to film is a great position for a mom hire?
Yeah, so direct to film, because it's, you can stop in the middle of it if you need to. You're not going to like be holding up press time or anything like that. Also, the way Printavo works and stuff like that, you don't need a bunch of people around, like making sure screens are done or ink is made or this or that. Like, are the direct to film transfers printed? Yes. Do you have the shirts on a cart? Yes. Okay. Well, when the person comes in to press the shirts, whether it's 3:00 in the afternoon or 6:00 at night, it's there. The work is there and can be completed without a bunch of other people around. So great position.
Yeah. And I think I'm catching this from what you're saying is that they don't have to have a background in screen printing and DTF. It seems like you're able to train pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. You can train someone how to press a DTF in about an hour, and you can, if you have your templates down and you have your SOPs ready to go, you can watch them for probably 10, 15 minutes, let them go, come back and check in again. And then more likely than not, people are going to be good with pressing direct to film. It's great for that.
Well, this has been awesome, Christy. I learned a lot about marketing, sales, but being a one-stop shop for your customers and also creating a community that is so important and obviously has helped you launch your career and now be part of an even bigger business, where you're at the top with a partner that you can work with so well. And we'll have to listen to you on Last Call for Plastisol when it comes back.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had a great time chatting.
All right. Thanks, Christy. You can find Rockhill Screen Printing at rockhillscreenprinting.com and on Instagram and LinkedIn. We'll catch you on the next episode of the DTF Printing Podcast. In the meantime, head to DTFprinting.com to discover new ways to grow your DTF print business. Thanks for listening.